Hey guys, Michael from Copper vs Glass, and in today's video we're going to be looking back on one of the, if not the best Android tablet available, and that is the 2013 Nexus 7. Now when this thing came out, it was probably one of the best, if not the best tablets that you could get in regards to Android. It ran stock Android, had a really nice screen, great internals, and overall was a really good form factor. But how is it using it in 2021? Well, let's take a look. So, starting off with the design. Now the tablet itself is really well balanced and actually quite light, coming in at around 290 grams. It's 8.7mm thin, so again, it's not necessarily the thickest and chunkiest tablet out there, and due to the screen form factor, it fits really well even in one hand. Taking a look around the device, on the right hand side you've got the power button and the volume up and down rocker. You've also then got stereo speakers on the back. Now they are on the back of the device, so if you are going to be setting it down on a flat surface, it can sometimes muffle the sound, or just in general when you hold it in landscape, but overall they do sound pretty good. Now to my eyes, when I actually used the tablet originally back in 2013, I thought that the speakers had a little bit more bass to them. However, with this tablet being as old as it is, some of that stuff can be accounted for just in regards to the age of the tablet. Now, something that is also very 2013 is going to be the fact that it is micro USB for charging. No USB-C or any sort of fancy chargers on this one. However, you can also charge it wirelessly with Qi charging, which is really rare to see, especially on a tablet. And you've also got one of the rarest ports available in 2021, the 3.5mm headphone jack. So if you do want to plug in some wired headphones, you've got the option to do so. And you could also get it in pretty much any color available as long as it was matte black. You had black on black, a nice embossed Nexus logo on the back with a glossy material, and then the black border around the front, and that was the only colorway available. Now don't get me wrong, that was pretty much the same for the Pixel devices. However, there was also a very rare Panda style Nexus 7 with a white back. However, I wasn't able to find one anywhere. Next up then we have the part of the tablet that I think even today still holds up extremely well, and that is the screen. Now let's get this out of the way straight away. Yes, there are pretty big borders on the top and bottom of the device and also on the sides as well. Now the actual screen to body ratio is around 62%, which is nearly half. So you can see there that there is a lot of bezel compared to screen. To put that into some sort of perspective, my iPad Pro 11 inch that I'm using here is actually going to be around 83% screen to body ratio. So again, if you're expecting a massive screen with tiny bezels, then the Nexus 7 definitely isn't for you. The resolution though, and the actual screen itself are still extremely good. The resolution is going to come in at 1200 by 1920, and it's got a PPI of 232. Now it is also an IPS LED display, so with regards to those black levels and overall saturants and just the color of the screen itself, it could definitely be better. However, for pretty much any sort of viewing that you're going to be doing, whether it's multimedia, gaming, or general web browsing, the screen itself holds up really well over time. However, due to those really thick bezels, one thing that I would say, and it's kind of funny, is if you do watch a movie, for example, on Netflix, Disney Plus, or pretty much anywhere that does have borders on the top and bottom in that 16:9 aspect ratio, when you're viewing it on the Nexus 7, if you've got something even like a small Pixel 5, for example, which is not necessarily the biggest screen out there, it's pretty much the same size when you take into account the bezels on the Pixel 5. So again, in regards to the movie viewing experience, you may even be able to get better visuals and a bigger screen on some modern mobile devices. Now, one thing that hasn't necessarily held up all that good is definitely the performance. Don't get me wrong, it's not bad by any means. I've installed Nova Launcher, I've got it set up exactly the way I want it to in regards to the launcher, but you've got to be keeping in mind that this is going to be running hardware and software from 2013. Now, what that means for the Nexus 7 is you're going to be getting a Snapdragon S4 Pro running at 1.5 GHz. It's going to be paired with the Adreno 320 GPU, 2GB of RAM, and you could get it in either 16 or 32GB of storage. Now, compared to these days with 512 gigs of storage, 128 gigs of storage, or even up into the terabyte levels, again, storage wasn't necessarily that good. However, if you're thinking of downloading any sort of games or applications from around 2013, they're not going to be that massive in size, so for me, the storage isn't really a problem. Now, Google's always been pretty good with software updates, even going back to the Nexus line of phones and tablets, and the Nexus 7 launched with Android 4.3 3 Jelly Bean and was then available for upgrades up until Marshmallow 6.0. So again, you're not going to be able to have the newest version of Android on there. Now there are workarounds in regards to custom ROMs and rooting the device in regards to getting a newer version of Android, but then that's maybe going to take a bigger hit with regards to performance. Marshmallow Android 6.0 is kind of the peak in regards to what this tablet can actually perform and handle, but overall it's not too bad. Now yes, I have installed Nova Launcher to get rid of some of those quirks of older versions of Android, and yes, some of the settings and the general UI could definitely do with some improvements. However, once you're actually in an application or in a game or watching a movie, all of the actual kind of problems maybe with older versions of Android just fade into the background, and again, I didn't really have many problems. And then lastly, to round off the features, we do have the battery life. Now for me, even with this model from 2013, so again, you're looking at sort of 8, nearly 9 years old in regards to the hardware, software, battery life, everything involved in the tablet, I'm still getting around 9 hours of battery life, or a little bit less with regards to maybe 4 or 5 hours with watching lots of movies and playing a ton of games. Now it does have a 3950 mAh battery. Unfortunately, there's no fast charging built in. However, like I mentioned, you do get wireless charging, which even in 2021 to find that on a tablet is extremely rare. Now don't get me wrong, it's still going to charge extremely slow if you do it wirelessly or even through the micro USB, but overall battery life isn't too bad. So with all that out of the way, how is it using the 2013 Nexus 7 in 2021? Well, it's actually pretty good and way better than I expected. Now we're going to get onto multimedia in a moment, but let's start off with the gaming side of things. Now don't get me wrong, you're not going to be able to play the newest versions of Call of Duty Mobile or Fortnite. In fact, they don't even download onto this tablet. Now PUBG, that does download but doesn't actually run, so again you're going to have to lower your expectations in regards to what sort of games you're going to be playing. However, if you do want to go back to some older titles like Need for Speed Most Wanted, Dead Trigger 2 from 2013, then again this is going to be a really great tablet for those shorter gaming sessions, or maybe for someone a bit younger that doesn't really want to kind of have a really expensive tablet or doesn't really mind too much in regards to graphical quality of gameplay. If you just want to play some really great games and kind of bring back some of that nostalgic feel, then again the Nexus 7 is a really great portal to do that. Also, general day-to-day tasks, there isn't really too much issues there either. In terms of things like browsing the web, social media, all that sort of stuff, I didn't really have any trouble. Now yes, don't get me wrong, applications even like Twitter do sometimes, kind of go a little bit slow and stutter from time to time, but you also do have a Android tablet version of Instagram. Now Instagram isn't available even on the newer tablets like the iPad Pro for example, so again to have Instagram on a slightly bigger screen is still a pretty good experience. Now yes, you do also have the cameras built into this tablet. We're not really going to talk about those too much. I'm going to put some samples on screen now of the Nexus 7 on the left and then my Pixel 5 on the right to give you guys an idea of what the camera quality is going to be like. So yes, although you can use applications like Instagram and also photo editing, I wouldn't necessarily do it with any photos that you've taken on the Nexus 7. Now, one thing that is good on the Nexus 7 is definitely multimedia. Now, don't get me wrong, the speakers don't necessarily sound as good as what I remember, so you may want to pair it with a pair of wireless or even wired headphones, but the actual viewing experience and the visuals is still pretty good. Watching something on Netflix or even Disney Plus, so some of those newer streaming services do still work, it was a really great experience. Watching something like Toy Story 4, for example, which is a really bright, vibrant and really intense movie, it looked pretty good. Also using it for just general stuff like YouTube, Netflix and TV shows here and there, didn't really have any problems, and it's also really good for maybe kitchen use as well. If you do want to use it for maybe some recipes, for example, and things like that, this is going to be a really great option thanks to that really small but also quite useful form factor. So would I recommend someone go out in 2021 and try and find a Nexus 7 from 2013? Well, I actually would, but with one caveat. For me, I was able to go out and find the second generation Nexus 7 with 16GB of memory for around £30 to £40 here in the UK. Now, for just a tablet in general, or just anything with this sort of size screen and form factor, that is actually pretty good value. Now, the one that I've got is also really good in regards to the quality. There's no sort of scratches on the screen or anything. The actual body of the device is also pretty darn good as well. Yes, it didn't come with the box or anything, but it did come with the charger, the wall brick, and all of that sort of stuff as well. So again, for around £30 to £40, I don't think that you can go wrong. Now, would I recommend the same thing for the first generation Nexus 7? Well, that may be something for a later video. But overall, if you do want a cheap tablet that maybe you want to give to your kids, for example, or you just want to use it for multimedia here and there, or a little bit of web browsing, and yes, you may want to put up with some of those kind of slowdowns and stutters with older versions of Android, the Nexus 7 is still a pretty good tablet, even 8 to 9 years later. And that's going to do it, guys, for this video and look back on the Nexus 7. Now, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up down below. And if you've got any questions or comments, let me know in the comments section or on Twitter at @copper_glass. If you're not already subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We have got a ton more videos coming up and also some other retro tech. So definitely hit that notification bell so that you're notified anytime I post a new video here on the channel. I'm Michael from Copper_Glass. Thanks very much for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next video.